So, folks, let's hear what the liberals have to say about Trump's plans to take over Gaza, because we've heard so much from them about Gaza this past 15 months. They care so much about Gaza, right? Well, apparently now they do. MSNBC and CNN are finally interviewing Palestinians on the ground in Gaza because of Trump. Why didn't they interview Palestinians while Biden and Kamala was slaughtering them? So we showed you guys the CNN video in a prior segment. So if you're watching the clip of this, you can see the CNN video in the general sort of Gaza segment. We're not going to replay that again, but we will play some of this MSNBC segment.
Minister Bibi Netanyahu is doing in the United States, along with President Trump as well. But when you speak to civilians here, Israelis on the streets in Tel Aviv, they believe the Palestinians have a right to remain in Gaza. And then there are the Palestinians themselves, the Gazans. We actually have a brave group of journalists on the ground in Gaza talking to Palestinians. They're asking them about what they think, Jose. I want you to take a listen to that, and then we'll talk on the other side.
Here in Palestine, all the Palestinians refuse the idea, and we will be insisted on our land.
So apparently that was it. They found one that was camera ready that they asked about Donald Trump. So now they're trying to see that this would be a great like SNL skit. MSNBC trying to make resistance libs out of the Palestinians. They go up to there. So what do you think about Donald Trump's misogynistic attacks on Fannie Willis? What do you have to say about that? I say, who? What? Yeah, but there they go. So no, MSNBC, now they're curious about what the Palestinians have to say.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly, yes. No, now they think they should hear from the Palestinians. When it was Joe Biden dropping bombs on their head, they didn't want to hear from them. In fact, they wanted to keep that, as sort of out of the news as they could, right? They say this is just one issue among many. Hey, I know there's a genocide, but think about reproductive rights. Think about the NLRB, right? Think about climate change. That's what, you had Sanders go, well, there's other important issues as well, right? But now they want to hear from Gaza. In fact, now Al Green, Democrat Al Green, just brought articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump over the threat of ethnic cleansing in Gaza.
Over Gaza?
Wrong. I think it's
you got to
wrong.
be shitting me. I didn't even hear this.
Well, it's wrong. What he's saying there is not true. The text of that. I don't think he brought articles of impeachment yet, but he is saying that the ball is now rolling. I don't know if it's formalized at this moment, but here's Al Green.
And still I rise, Mr. Speaker. And I rise today, Mr. Speaker, with a to whom it may concern message. To whom it may concern, ethnic cleansing in Gaza is not a joke, especially when it emanates from the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, when he has the ability to perfect what he says. Ethnic cleansing in Gaza is no joke. And the Prime Minister of Israel should be ashamed, knowing the history of his people, to stand there and allow such things to be said. Ethnic cleansing has been a crime against humanity.
You don't say.
And I stand here today in the well to denounce what was said, to denounce what the President said, to denounce the complicity of the Prime Minister of Israel, and to remind people that Dr. King was right. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And injustice in Gaza is a threat to justice in the United States of America. I rise to announce that the movement to impeach the president has begun. I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president.
He will bring them, so he hasn't brought them yet.
For dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done. I also rise to say that the impeachment movement is going to be a grass-up movement, not a top-down. The people have got to move forward. The people have to demand it. And when the people demand it, it will be done.
The people have to protest for Palestine. Not like they've been doing that for the last 15 months. Now I'm against ethnic cleansing. Now it's a great moral crime. Wow.
Like the level of hypocrisy is just
yeah.
How
it's just
do you
absolutely fucking mind blowing.
All
3
of a
weeks
sudden,
ago, ethnic cleansing wasn't a crime. Right.
A year
this is
and
an impeachable offense now. Yeah.
A year and a half, we've been watching children blown apart. And you have the fucking balls to get up and make a speech like that? Like this just started?
Like this just started. Yeah.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Well,
Scum of the earth, man.
you want to see the Democratic Party in a nutshell? This is a perfect encapsulation. So here's Medea Benjamin, who caught up with Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut, and asked him not just about Trump's comments, but about funding Israel. And this is really the Democratic Party in a nutshell.
And what do you think the U.S. should do about it after supporting Israel all this time?
Do you think Trump's serious? Do you think he really intends on invading and occupying Gaza? Obviously, that's an impossibility. He's trying to distract Americans from the theft that is happening domestically.
So what's the Democratic solution to Gaza right now?
So ultimately, you need to have a plan for who controls Gaza moving forward. So that can't happen without the Palestinians.
What about the $8 billion that's in the hopper?
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Medea.
All right, gotta go.
Stop
There you go.
sending money to Israel?
What do you think about what Trump said? Well, I don't think he's serious. What should we do with Gaza? Well, we have to involve the Palestinians in the process. All right, so what about that $8 billion that we're sending to Israel? Good or bad? Gotta go. Sorry.
Yep.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.
That's them in a nutshell. That is them in a nutshell.
Well,
go ahead.
If you saw well, I don't want to step on it. I don't know if you have anything to this effect. For a second, what's left of the libs that still have the sheer unmitigated gall to stick their heads up at this point, they tried to get a whole elections have consequences, guys.
Oh, yeah, well, I have that. All right, so let me do that now because I have exactly that. In fact, that's next. Simone Sanders, I think now it's very appropriate to reiterate that elections have
there you go.
consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. 4 million views on that whopper. Liam Neeson, as Trump bulldozes Gaza to build golf courses, at least you could sleep well knowing you voted for Jill Stein. Julia, I don't know how to say her name. Hope everyone is happy now that they got Genocide Joe out of office. I mean, the fucking misery of these people to be like rubbing it in and taunting the people who actually like oppose this from day one. Just unbelievable. Here's this piece of garbage. Alex Cole, I have zero sympathy for, but okay, zero sympathy of the Palestinian Americans who stayed home or voted for Trump. You get what you deserve. To which Professor Zenkis replies, did you have sympathy for them before? Right? Because it doesn't seem like you ever really had much sympathy for them, especially if that's your take right now. Here's Roland Martin. I highlighted this. CC Dearborn, Michigan. So now, so you're not just going after like college kids who didn't vote for Kamala. Now you're actually going to go after the family members of those who have been murdered, which is what Dearborn is. It's a very large Palestinian community there who have family who have been killed by Israel over the past 15 months. So now they're going to pile on Dearborn. Heck of a job, Dearborn, especially you, Rashida Tlaib, says Julie Rodzinski. Wu-Tang is for the children, says catch you on the flip side, Rashida Tlaib. Elections got consequences. Remember that. Brooklyn Dad Defiant says now that the motherfucker has said the quiet part out loud that he wants to build the Riviera of the Middle East, where's all that fucking energy you had saying y'all couldn't vote for Kamala? All I know is she wanted to build more houses here, not in Gaza. Epic comeback. All right, so Caitlin Johnston created a satire post. She tried to join the pile-on, ironically, here. So this is a great piece of performance art in writing. I bet all you stupid commies wish you'd supported Kamala now, huh? You could have had a president who merely wants to explode and incinerate Palestinians instead of ethnically cleansing them. But no, you chose to stay home or vote for Jill Stein, so now you get mass expulsion instead of the sweet, gentle embrace of nonstop military hellfire. I bet you feel so dumb now. You could have had kinder, more polite mass atrocities. You could be sitting here feeling smug and correct like me, instead of sitting there feeling like a fool for insisting upon your ponies and unicorns pie in the sky unrealistic fantasy of not supporting an active genocide. Now you have to sit there and watch them ethnically cleanse Gaza and cry while I watch and masturbate. Now you have to live with your decision, you insolent, uppity peons. Sorry, gotta do that. Soon, you'll be begging for a chance to support an administration that spent 15 months turning Gaza into gravel, but it's too late. Next election will make you vote for a former IDF member who wants to nuke Iran just to make sure you've learned your lesson, and then we'll still spit on you. Shame on you. Shame on you for failing to get on board the coconut train when you had a chance. You could have had a Holocaust overseen by a competent and articulate woman of color. Now you get ethnic cleansing from an orange buffoon who tweets mean words. I hope you all get deported to the West Bank, and then I hope the West Bank gets obliterated by a Democrat. Well said. She gave a more on-the-nose and serious response. Nobody who's saying, ha ha, you idiot, should have voted for Kamala to protect the Palestinians has ever supported the Palestinians. That's right. These are all the same people who spent last year telling everyone to shut up about Gaza and stop opposing an act of genocide. They can get fucked. Absolutely. And this this really is the ultimate encapsulation of what we've said about liberals for the entire time we have this show. They don't actually have real political concerns or goals. It's all status signaling.
Yep.
So when crying about Gaza lowers their status because it lowers their standing amongst the Democratic rank and file, they don't do it. When screaming about Gaza is a virtue signal against Trump, and more than just a virtue signal against Trump, a virtue signal against those non-voters and those third-party voters, then they're happy to do it. Gaza has nothing to do with it. It is about them achieving and maintaining status. That is all politics is and will ever be to them. And this is just probably the most disgusting example in recent memory.
Yeah. Anyone who still has any libs that haven't completely disowned them on social media has probably had the experience I've had. These motherfuckers wouldn't say the word Gaza for a year and a half.
Yep.
All of a sudden now they found out there's war crimes going on in Gaza. All of a sudden they want to virtue signal off the suffering of Gazans. And in this particularly lib way.
Yeah,
like most of them want to formulate it this way. See what you did?
That's right. They don't even use it more than using it to browbeat Trump. They're using it to browbeat the left.
To browbeat people who did not vote for Kamala Harris. That is the most lib thing ever. That is the only bright spot. Look, I ain't gonna lie, peoples, man. Even maybe especially because we talk about this on a mic like freaking 12 hours a week. Yeah, man, it's a little depressing right now. It is like, yo, how do you even fight this? The momentum is so on the side of autocracy at this point. The liberal class has failed society to such an extent. Democracy itself, which sure we didn't have in the first place, which we'll get into. But this thing they were calling democracy has failed so completely. How would you ever make people want to invest in it again? Especially if some of what they do actually does show some kind of results. Or you could have, as with Bill Clinton, he had great timing, man. Like people connected his economic policies to economic results that they actually didn't earn. They just happened to be commercializing the internet at that moment. So you had this economic boom that everyone credited him with. He was actually very unpopular by 2 years into his presidency. Then you got this huge economic boom and it saved him. Does that happen? That happens. Forget about it. Forget about persuading people to adopt any other kind of politics. All that having been said, is there a satisfaction in seeing the total collapse of the entire liberal project? Yeah, and every time you stop feeling warm and fuzzy about that, they remind you why you should with this kind of a grotesque display.
Yes, I think that is well said. But I do think that we are going to have a relatively good year in terms of building consensus around our politics, because our politics are going to be the only thing that really this country hasn't tried yet.
Well, that's the good thing. They're out of the way.
Right. They're out of the way. That's it. They're out of the way. Gives us some room to breathe. We can breathe again. We can finally breathe again. Remember, that's what they said after Biden won, after Trump was gone. We can breathe again. That's how I feel now. That's what I feel now, with them out of the way. All right.
I literally took pictures of libs at brunch.
Yeah.
That day.
Please clap.